insight into contact center security, thanks to the service provider community, both large and small, that have allowed me to visit their sites not only here in the U.S., but also nearshore, Latin America, and the Caribbean, and abroad. So believe me, I see a wide variety of call center and security environments. I also see a lot of gaps and vulnerabilities, depending on the service provider, the country I'm in, and the size of the center. So I wanted to put up a graphic here that shows what I call a holistic view of the contact center security landscape, and I divided it into three main areas. The first is the physical or facility security area, then network security, which most of us are familiar with and think about when it comes to hacking, authentication, malware, even ransomware, and then finally security compliance as it relates to specific industry standards for local, state, federal, and even international requirements that have to be met in contact center environments. I believe that the vulnerabilities and the opportunities for an attack, for fraud, are immense in these three areas, and there are lots of assets to protect. I also think it's critical that we not forget disaster recovery and business continuity, including natural disasters and even sabotage. So I think about three common threat sources, kind of a trifecta that would include natural threats like floods, earthquakes, fires, certainly human threats, workplace violence, terrorist attacks, arson, deliberate actions on the part of employees, and then finally environmental threats, which could be things like long-term power failures, pollution, chemical and hazardous materials leakage. So here, I wanted to mention that current research points to the fact that the majority of fraud attacks involve at least one point person working on the inside. And I think this is particularly problematic in contact centers. So you might ask, why is this? And there are three basic reasons. The first is that they have large populations of employees. Second is the agents have access to confidential customer information and their personal data. And then finally, and this is kind of the bane of the industry, there's a typically high turnover rate where you see new hires coming in constantly. So in my opinion, based on discussions with people like Alan that sit in the Chief Information Security Office place, that agent fraud within captive or an outsourced contact center represents the most significant and pernicious threat. And one of the primary information security threats related to contact centers occurs when employees conduct unauthorized access to that same private and confidential data without a business need to access that data. So when it comes to fraud, and you consider the entire landscape I laid out before you, I can point to several obvious sources of contact center, quote-unquote, insider entry points. Besides the agents, we don't think about this often. It could be a supervisor, a quality analyst, an account manager, or another employee. In the contact center, you'll find contractors, maintenance teams, catering and food vendors, janitorial crews. There are also third-party suppliers of computer equipment and office equipment. In contact centers, you'll also see telephony providers, carriers, and electrical subcontractors. And then finally, you've got visitors like me, maybe clients, prospects, and analysts that come into the contact center.